So I'm going to keep one page open so that I see the questions that will come on. We did it.
We did it.
I'm proud of myself.
I told you, well, technology and all that, Sylvia.
They're bringing it little by little because otherwise it's going to be too much for us to know about the quantum computers that have already been created in Spirit. All right, awesome. So we are live here with Michael. You say Ivers or Evers?
Ivers.
Ivers. Okay, awesome. From England, but he's living in Spain, correct?
Yeah, living in Spain at the minute.
Mallorca, awesome. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about your journey. I feel like it's very important for us to talk about things that many consider uncomfortable topics, but that touch our lives more often than what we want to show, and that there is around which there is a lot of shame and a lot of uncomfortability, because these are real life issues and things that really happen to people. And I want to bring on the platform those that have gone through it, just like you, that have gone through a lot of stuff, intense stuff, that is not just like saying, I mean, you're gonna say your story, but going through your story is different than just talking about it. And then your journey afterwards. So would you like to tell who Michael Ivers was and what happened and why now Michael Ivers is a different person?
Yeah, do you know what? And do you know what? I'm really grateful that you invited me on. When you messaged me to come on and speak about the stuff we talked about, I love that. I don't get asked. Firstly, I don't get asked by many to come on and speak about my story, as in, the toughness of what I went through. And I really like it because it spreads awareness, and it gives that message of hope. Gives that message of hope to others that change is possible. And so, first of all, I want to thank you very much, Sylvia, for allowing me to come on. It means a lot to me. Yeah. So basically, I was born in London with a family. My dad is a big drinker. I can remember when I was younger, being in fear from a very, very young age, through arguing in the house, from when my dad was drunk and stuff like that. So, that fear was instilled in me at a very, very young age. And then obviously went to school, experienced some bullying in school. That fear again was growing and growing. Yeah, so that was basically early times was very fear based. Got into like college school, high school. In the UK, it's called secondary school. Still full of fear. I quickly become very good at manipulating people. I could smell fear or trouble from a mile away. So I could sense if someone was going to bully me or something like that before they'd even done it. And I would quickly manipulate them by making them laugh or buying my way. So I become very, very clever as well at such a young age to manipulate people through my fear. Obviously, then I started becoming aware of drink and drugs. And I remember I had my first drink, and it just kind of eradicated all that fear. It just took away all that fear. That fear was gone. And I was like, wow, I've just drunk something, and it's just taken away all that fear, and I'm not fearful. So, obviously leaving school then, and, drinking a lot and going to pubs and loving this new way of life that when I actually drunk, I felt like everyone else, or I thought I felt like everyone else, because to me, I was always living behind masks. I felt uncomfortable in my own skin. I felt less than others. And obviously when I started my journey with alcohol, it took away all that. So if I found my solution, or what I thought was my solution to that. I also suffered like mental health. You know, I would think bad things were going to happen to me or to one of my family members. So, you know, I would start to touch like a hot iron 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Or I would count in my head 1, 2, 3 to keep me safe and everyone else is safe, everyone else safe. If I was saying bye to a group of friends, I would have to keep shouting out bye. It sounds really crazy. So I'd say goodbye to you. And then as I'm walking away, I'd say bye, bye, bye. And I'd have to keep saying it until they couldn't hear me no more. And people used to think, this bloke's like just a total nutcase. But to me, I had to do that. Or I was adamant that something bad was going to happen. It's a real horrible place to be. And depression and anxiety, it started to grow on me. It really started to grow on me. But obviously, the more I drank, the more it took that away. So I seemed to be drinking a lot. Then I got into like a lot of crime because the drinking and that took away all my fear, and I wanted to be part of. And where I lived, that was the lifestyle to be someone or special. It was like a kind of a life of crime, or so you think then, you know. So I got quickly into drugs, and I was selling drugs and all stuff like that. Then I got arrested. I got put in prison. Prison was hard to deal with because of my anxieties and that, and I had no escape. I stayed away from drugs in prison, and obviously there was no alcohol. So although I wasn't bullied or anything in prison, my anxieties were very much on me, thinking bad things are going to happen to like my family outside if I didn't do things. So when you're like that, even on the outside, you know, without the drink, when you're like that, it becomes mentally draining because it's just constant. And, you know, I come out of prison, stayed away from crime, went on with my life, doing different jobs, never felt like any job kind of fitted my description, still feeling very alone inside, trying to be a part of, still trying to keep up, you know, with drinking and stuff like that. And then I forgot to tell you, earlier on, you know, I was always aware of like the spirit world as well when I was younger. My family used to go to spiritualist churches, so I was very aware at a very young age, and it always kind of stood out to me. I knew that I wanted to be doing it. I just knew at a very young age. So once I come out of prison, all that, in my late 20s, I started to go to spiritualist churches. Started to sit in a circle. Before I knew it, I was quickly up on the platform, like demonstrating.
Oh, wow.
Very, very quickly. And so, you know, I was going through getting booked to go and do demonstrations in churches and centres and stuff like that. And still drinking and taking drugs as well to suppress my anxiety. And, you know, I would go to a platform and I'd be so in fear, worrying, what if they don't like me? What if they don't book me? What if this? What if that? You know, not turning up sometimes because I was drunk or too much in fear. And then kind of the mediumship just had to stop for a little while. It just had to stop. I couldn't do it. The drinking and drug taking had took over. My anxiety and my depression was so bad that, you know, I then turned to like prescription drugs as well, like opioid, painkillers, sleeping tablets. You know, as soon as my wife would go off to work, I'd be like eating the sleeping tablets, the opioids, drinking to oblivion, you know, and then end up out in blackout, not even know what I'm doing, cocaine, and more than that. I just couldn't sit another moment in my head with the anxiety having to touch irons, having to count in my head. It was just draining me. So, and then I ended up having like a mental breakdown. And in a way, it was a godsend, because it was my rock bottom. I'd hit my rock bottom, and I was crying out for help. So then I sought help in Alcoholics Anonymous, which has been fantastic. You know, I do a lot of service with them now. Alcoholics Anonymous, a little bit of outside help counselling, which works for some people, didn't really work for me. Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps and having a sponsor, that was kind of worked better for me. That worked better for me. So everything was fine, you know. I got on my journey, stayed away from mediumship, worked on myself as well. I start to sit every day with the spirit world again and say, look, I've never known myself. I've always put on all these masks and pretended to be someone else for this group of people, someone else for that group of people. And I didn't know who I was. And I was like, I'm just going to sit with you. Can you help me find out who I am? Now, I know I'm a good person anyway. I want to know who I am. Start stripping back that onion and show me. And I sat every day, and I still do today. I sat and I blended with the spirit world and got myself better, you know, and I'm coming up to 4 years now without alcohol or anything like that. I now take no depression tablets, no anxiety tablets. So I'm actually feel very blessed where I'm at today. But yeah, so then I started to feel better. You know, I was in a good place. And then I sat down one day in my home here. I was sitting in a chair, and I looked at the spirit world and said, do you know what? I'm ready. You know, I'm ready again to pick up now. Because I never thought I'd go back to mediumship. In fact, I didn't want to. I'm ready to go back. And you know what? I think it was the next day I got a phone call to start working. So they had answered me because they knew I was ready now. And I said to them, I'm either all in or I'm all out. I'm that kind of person. You know, I need to be busy with it, or I'll just lose concentration. I get bored easy. So, you know, I need to be all in. And then I started demonstrating again, like first of all, like going back. And I was going to demonstrations. And again, although I'd worked on myself, when I was getting to demonstrations, I still had that fear that, what if they don't like me? What if I don't get booked? Oh, they're looking at me funny in the audience. That's put me off. And it was just like it was a nightmare. So again, I'd come back home and I sat with the spirit world and I said, like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why am I feeling like this? And then basically it just come to me, you know, it's ego. And you've got to really go in there and not worry about how you're going to look, if you're going to get rebooked and so on. Why don't you start to really think about who you're going to help? And you know what? That's what I started to do. I started to go into these demonstrations and nothing could put me off. No one looking at me put me off. No fear. I would not allow fear to come in. And it was like, do you know what? In my head, I'm here to help someone today. You know, someone may be in here who's lost their child, and I'm going to make that connection for them. And so that part was sorted out then as well. And then it just kind of exploded from then. Started getting invitations to go and teach around Europe and demonstrate. So I was off doing all that and started to help a lot of people. And in my work, so if I'm teaching, what I do now is I like to not only help them with their development within their mediumship, but also within their life. You know, what's going on for you? And I try and help them, you know, and get them to open up to me a little bit, confidentially, in trust, so I can try and help them bring the two up together and help them with learning to love themselves, because that's what I missed in my development. I missed that. So I wanted that to be a part of my teaching. And I wanted people to know that they can contact me in between courses. You know, I'm not this superstar, you know, what you see so much of now. I'm a human being that's been through a lot in their life. And I'm always here for you. So you can message me, ring me anytime you want to talk. And I do that. I do that to the best of my ability. And so today I'm in a great place. I work all over. You know, I did have some, I was going to be going to the States as well before COVID, but obviously that stopped for the time being. Obviously I'm teaching online at the minute, but I teach people worldwide. I run free meditation groups which have helped people immensely with their development, with grief. And do you know what? I just feel blessed. I'm a grateful person. I love to help people. I've just written a book and it's out in November. It's called Changes. And it's a little bit about my story. I didn't want it too much about me, but we wanted to put something about me because even my story should inspire people. And then the rest is about techniques, how we can help to change ourselves, and you know, that devil mind that tells us we're not good enough. You know, it's a liar, and how to try and start to separate from that. There's meditations in there. So I really wanted to do a book that would hopefully inspire however many people. It's never about money or anything like that. It costs me more money than I'll probably get back. But I wanted to inspire people, spread awareness, and carry that message of hope. And you know what? I live one day at a time. I keep getting opportunities, and that's great. And I use it not only for my work, but also to spread awareness. So that's basically my story. Probably missed out bits here and there, but that's kind of what's come out.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. Let me turn the AC off because it's getting cold here. I have so many questions that I want to ask you. One of them is, so for me at the beginning, I thought mediumship was cool because I would get the opportunity to connect people with their loved ones. I had no clue that in order to be able to do that, what was necessary was what I call self-development and getting to know myself and really digging deep into everything that you talked about, my fears, my self-sabotaging patterns, my addictions, my thought patterns, my understanding my emotions. So I want to ask you this. Would you, and I'm asking you this because many people come and ask for techniques, just give me the technique and I'll do it. And I remember thinking the same, you know, I want to be a medium, just tell me what to say and I'll say it. But I didn't realize that in order to make that happen, a lot needed to happen within me, a lot of shifts, a lot of understanding, a lot of mindfulness. So would you say that self-development is key for mediumship development, or that you can actually keep on being a medium and, you know, be successful and still go through your own thing behind the scenes and keep on wearing masks? You know,
My answer to that would be no. People can do it, and people do it, but it's very painful. And mediumship is a very, very difficult pathway, a very, very difficult, demanding pathway. And when you're vulnerable and you're in pain and you're in anxiety, depression, addiction, any mental health or anything, not loving yourself, it can put a lot of pressure on you. And I've known a lot of people that have wanted to take their life. So, you know, not only, I know some great mediums that could be even greater, but they don't love themselves and they're in a lot of pain. Now, I would advise anyone to work. I worked with someone not long ago, and my advice to them was go away for a year and take time out from mediumship, because it'll be waiting there for you. It's almost as if they're scared that it's not going to be there, or their ego won't allow it because they're growing into this person. You know what it's like today. People get a name, and you know they don't really want. And it happens in just in life in general. But you know, my advice would be to work on self. Certainly, not just with mediumship, but with anything. Because what we do is, right, we go on the hamster wheel for years and years and years and years and years, torturing ourselves. And all it takes, right, is to just come away from things, or if you still have to work, start to work on yourself truly. It's not easy, but the way it is and all, people haven't got patience. But, you know, to put effort into mediumship, but not want to put effort into loving yourself is kind of a form of insanity, because that time I took out was the best thing I ever did. Even the journey, the pain and stuff like that, because it's given me knowledge now to go and help people. And my mediumship was waiting there for me. I come back and things are a lot different. So I would definitely, like I said, I do work with people to help themselves as well. But I wouldn't advise them to go out giving readings and all that. Yeah, you do a bit of development, stuff like that, and work on yourself. Because what it is, it seems to be that if they go out and they get something wrong in mediumship, it kind of like, I've seen people like suicidal over it. Oh, I'm getting it wrong, I can't get it right, and all this and all that, and just putting too much pressure on themselves, and they're not strong enough for that pressure at that time. And also, just quickly, not only are they not strong enough, they're not at that understanding that is part and parcel of our journey. We don't get everything right all the time, you know. And the minute you accept that, again, your mediumship pathway becomes more simplified, and your work becomes better, because less expectations, less pressure, better communication.
And it's interesting because we are the ones putting that expectations on ourselves. Because I realized at some point that Spirit wanted to work with me no matter what I thought about myself. They were the ones giving me unconditional love, and I was not giving that love to myself. And that's interesting. So how would you, if you could find another label for the word mediumship, because all of us, we associate mediumship is connecting with the spirit world, bringing evidence and messages of the fact of our loved ones that are living after the physical death of the body. But I believe that mediumship is so much more than that. What do you think that mediumship is? Because you said that it's a hard path.
Yeah, it's a hard pathway because of the pressure we put on ourselves, the expectations we put on ourselves, the not having acceptance around it, that doesn't always go to plan. So there is that side of it. Mediumship for me is just another form of helping someone, just like helping someone, an elderly person across the road with their shopping that was struggling. It's just another form of helping someone. I love doing it. It's magical. It's magical. And to watch people that are grieving and you make that connection and they walk away feeling uplifted. Now, that to me is an amazing experience for them. But again, that feeling should come within any help you're giving to someone. You know, if you can gain that passion and not just because mediumship is kind of like, it's very high profile these days.
Mm.
People want to be noticed. People want to be on the TV. People want to shout out who they've got a certificate of, who they've worked with. If I help someone across the road, yeah, I love that. If someone messages me and they're not feeling too great, and then we have a nice chat, just a chat in general, and they get off, and the power's been taken out of that pain a little bit, then it ignites something inside me.
Mm.
So to me, mediumship is just another form of helping people.
Mm.
And that's how I think of it. I don't think of it no more, no less. My ego can come in an awful lot because that's what egos do. So I try and just keep a balance on that. And it is what it is. It's about helping others in a different way.
Do
I
you
love
think do you
it.
think that you chose mediumship or that mediumship chose you?
It chose me. It chose me. Whether I chose before I come here, I don't know, but it certainly chose me because when I had my mental breakdown, there's a lot more to my story. I could have been killed and stuff like that. Or I could have killed somebody else. I didn't want nothing to do with it again. But it come back, and it come back in force. When I worked on myself totally, and I sat at this table here and said, do you know what? I think I'm ready to go back. And this was like maybe 2 years after. It happened like a lightning bolt. And before I knew it, I was on a plane going out to Europe, teaching, demonstrating, getting phone calls, setting up groups, meditation groups, helping people, writing a book. That was never planned. It definitely found me. Definitely. I know sometimes it can feel like we're finding it, because sometimes when we're chasing it and it feels like we're chasing it and the development, then we start to question that. But, we have to go down that pathway as well. It doesn't mean that it hasn't found us. It's, in life, we have to get up and meet things halfway. We have to put in work.
Right.
Yeah.
Meeting things halfway. I like that. Because it's not just like, okay, now that it found you, now that's it. Now you're done. You don't have to do anything.
There is no magic wand. You've got to get up.
Embracing the journey. I receive a question here from Marty. How did you know that this was your calling, and what was your first experience?
I used to see spirit when I was a young child, and then it stopped. Now, I didn't really know that it was spirit I was seeing at that age. I kind of knew once I started to go into my development. So my first experience with spirit was at a young age. How did I know that it was my calling? I just knew. I knew, my mum and my sister, they used to go to spiritualist churches, not much, but my sister more so. And I'd be about 9, 10 years of age, and I would listen. I would listen to them speaking. And I just knew from such a young age. I was in awe about it. At 9 or 10, it was something that had a desire inside of me. I didn't know what it was or what I was going to be doing, but I was very, very interested in it. It lit me up. So it was always there. Did I ever believe that I would go on to be a medium? Not at a young age, no, probably not. I still had a great interest in it at such a young age, and later on, it all made sense. Everything just made sense.
Thank you for that. I have a question. Sorry?
I hope that answers the question for the person.
Yeah, and if you guys have, or girls or ladies or gentlemen have questions, just put them in the comments here. I have them on my right hand so that I can see them and ask them to Michael. So I have something that happened to me, and I feel like this happens to a lot of us, but we don't speak about it. And what happened to me is that I felt that because of all the things that I did, I was not worthy of working with spirit. That I only people that were, I don't want to say the word holy, but better than I, that didn't sin as much as I did, that were more in tune or more advanced, that didn't lose the temper the way that I lose my temper, that were not as grumpy as me, were the ones that could work with spirit. Definitely not me. So what would you say to people that feel like they're not worthy of working with spirit?
Let me tell you, right? Everything you just said there was me. That was my experience. Oh, they're better than me. They talk different to me. They've been more educated than me. My temper outside of it, my depression. I would never dream of telling anyone that I was depressed, struggling with drink or drugs, or had anxiety, had to touch a hot iron, or something bad was going to happen. But let me tell you all out there that we become the ones that spirit really, really like to work with, because we bring life experiences. We bring that knowledge of pain and coming through pain. Yeah. And we are the ones that they really, really connect with. Believe me. Yeah. So, don't ever feel less than. I know it's easier said than done, but, just keep working on yourself, and then everything will fall into place. Everything will fall into place. 1 second, let me just turn that back off because it's doing the screen. I can't see the screen properly. Sorry, that's it.
It's okay. Oh my goodness, I have another question, but before going into my question, I received another question from Amy. Do you have to have always been able to sense spirit in order to develop the ability to communicate, or can you also develop yourself into mediumship? Can you be too old to begin learning? Yes, you're too old. That's the question, Michael.
No, I believe we all have the ability to communicate with the spirit world, right? And no, you're never ever too old to learn anything. You can connect with the spirit world. What you want to do with it, whether it's your pathway, whether it's what you was planned to do, is another thing. So you may want to just try it and go to a circle, and that might just be all you want to do. If you want to use it to go out in the world and help people, then I'm not sure. If you would, basically what I'm saying is, yes, you have the ability. You have the ability to connect with the spirit world. Whether it's your pathway or not, that's another thing. So, I've got a little bit lost then, but yes, you can communicate with the spirit world, and you're probably doing it without you even knowing it. When you're communicating in your mind, like when you're talking out in your mind, you're communicating with the spirit world, believe me. Out giving readings and that, I don't know. I have a lot of development classes, and I have a lot starting up coming up as well, new ones as well. And basically, you know, it's stuff that I'm going to be putting to people as well. What are you actually coming on here for? What do you want to do with it? Do you want to be going out into the world and helping people with it? Because that's really who I want to be teaching from there on. You can do that in lots of circles and have fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me now, I want to in the future to push people with their development so that they go out and want to help people. So I'll be talking to them first. If this is what you want, then that's great. If not, then I don't think, you know, I'm right for you at the minute. Because if you want to sign up with me and you want to spend your money, then I really hope that you want to go out into the world and help people with it. So it's important to me, and it's something I've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, but yeah, by all means, join a circle, and you will surprise yourself.
I feel like attached to this question, there is another question, which comes from my personal experience. When I started communicating with spirit, I thought that the communication was going to happen in a different way.
Yeah.
That it was going to be, you know, clairvoyance. I would see spirit outside, you know, I would hear, and these things happen, these phenomena happen, but actually was not how I was expecting. So I feel like there we could talk about a little bit about how are we expecting for them to show up? How are we not noticing that they are already showing up, like what you were saying, with thoughts, crossing our mind with thoughts, with feelings? And what can we do to, and here maybe we can talk about meditation or sitting with spirit, to really feel the subtle language of spirit?
Do you know what you just said there was a classic, because that's what I thought. You know, I'm going to see them there, and that's what I was saying just now to that person's question. You're probably already communicating with the spirit world. I never dress my mediumship up. You know, you'll see people. Oh, I can see your dad standing behind you. Oh, did you just say that to me? You know, don't work like that. You see them in here, and you hear them in here. So, you know, if I was to see spirit world, it would be like me now. You know, for people that are watching, if you're sitting down now and you think of a family member, then you get that visualization of them in your mind as you're thinking about them. And it's the same with the spirit world. You know, if I was doing a reading for you, you know, I'd get an image of the person in my mind. And then it's like a bit of a story that may go on in your mind, what they're sending through in the thought pattern. Or it could be like you're watching a film mixed in with that, with some feelings, emotions, and it tells and unfolds a story. You know, because mental mediumship is thought communication and through our senses. So people look at it and think, wow, you know, I don't see nothing like that. I don't hear nothing like that. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be a medium? And it's until you actually know and go into development, it's quite a big surprise that how it works. Yeah, but the best way to start to communicate, or wanting to communicate, is to sit with a spirit world. And what that means is just basically what I do is I just sit down, relax. I don't dress it up again or nothing like that. I just get relaxed, and I just say in my mind, I just ask the spirit world to come and sit with me and relax with me and blend with me. And that's all I do. And I do it every day. And what that does is that enhances my mediumship, because I'm used to spending time with the spirit world. It's like I say, if you've met someone new, you're going to get to know them by spending time with them. So it's the same with the spirit world.
Yes.
The more time you spend with them, when you go to do your mediumship work, it's just like, bang, you like that, because I sit with them every day. So it's just like, all right, I'm sitting with you now. We're going to go work. All right. But people, where it is, when they're developing, they get some people can get a bit bored with it because they don't see nothing happening, or, well, I don't see what I'm getting from this, you know. But believe me, a tutor or myself, I can only give you maybe 60%, maybe 40% of techniques and talking to you and helping you with development. The rest you get from sitting with the spirit world. It is as, if not more, important to your development, without a doubt. And you know what? To the question, you can sit, relax, ask them to sit with you, and you can ask stuff. You know, if you're looking for insight, and you know, they will drop them faults in. They will drop them faults in. But other than that, to really start to understand it, you would have to join like a development circle.
Right. I feel like like joining a circle, development circle, is what you're talking about, the appointment that we decide to have with spirit, because not everybody is able or willing, especially at the beginning, just to sit down and spend time with spirit. They don't really know how it works. But that's another message that I received for myself. It's just like when you want to get to know somebody, exactly what you were saying, you make time for that person, right? And then you ask your question, and then you wait for the answer, and then you stay with that person for how long you want to stay. So same thing with spirit here. Something that came to mind is how our mind overcomplicates something that is so simple sometimes, right? Like, so simple. We just have to sit and just be patient with ourselves and ask and learn to quiet our mind so that we can use our mind to communicate. And sometimes we overcomplicate things because we think that if it's simple, then it's not effective.
Not going to work. That's right.
Right. It's interesting. Our mind is, I always like to say, instead of like getting rid of our mind or shutting it up, I like to befriend my mind, because it's actually a very funny mind that I have, you know, always trying to make me believe things that are not real.
You can learn so much from it, but so much from it. And do you know what you just said was spot on. A lot of people, unless it's complicated, they think it don't work. So I like to teach how to uncomplicate what's not complicated. Keep it simple, because it works. Again, you're putting less stress on yourself, less expectations. Just keep it simple, because it is really simple. But people out there complicate it for many reasons, for money gains, to keep people coming back, you know, to make it into something complicated when it really isn't. It's not complicated, and it shouldn't be taught complicated. It's very, very simple.
Thank you so much for your insight. And let me see, if you guys have questions, just post them here. And while we wait for another question, hello Anna and Tara and Stacy. Hello everybody. I have, oh my goodness, so many, but I'm gonna go with this one, because I know that many developing mediums, they would like to put themselves out there, right? They would like to just go and help as many people as possible, because that's in their heart. But it's very hard for them to trust and surrender. So let's say, for example, I expect for my reading to be like this conversation, but in reality, I just received a carrot and a slice of pie and some balloons, and I don't know what that means. And I don't want to say it because I'm afraid that the person in front of me, you know, is going to judge me because I don't know or whatever. So what would you suggest to those that have a hard time trusting? Because we cannot be where we are not, right? So if I am at that level and I can only give you these three things, cannot expect for me to be at the level of somebody else that has been doing this for 20 years and you know, is able to go in details and stuff. So what can you tell me, or a person like me that is at that level, beginner level, and has to embrace the journey, which is, you know, a slow journey, sometimes can take up years to surrender and trust?
Firstly, just say, for instance, them three things, what you just said, I call them doorways. Okay? So if I've got a balloon, yeah, then I would have to look at the bigger picture. So what is that balloon telling me? Before I say, oh, I've got a balloon, what is that balloon telling me? That balloon can tell me a story, right? It's a symbol. And they work with you like this, especially in the beginning, right? So that door is a symbol, and that's telling a story. That balloon, look into it. What does it mean to you? What feelings is it giving you? And then once you start talking about that, a door will open, and then you will go through that, and there'll be more information, and then through that, more information, more information, more information, more information, and the spirit person will start building up. The story will start building up. So then, what you've got to do is you've got to learn that if you get things like that, before you say them, you've got to feel into them, look into them, and they will tell you a story, and that will open a door to the next part of the information and the next part of the information. So, you know, that's symbols. So it's a great way to work in it. But, you know, look at it that way. If you do get a symbol like that, instead of just going, oh, I've been given a carrot, I've been given, like we do, especially in the early days, you know, look into it. What does that carrot mean to you? What are they, undernourished? You know, start talking, start building up, and then a door will open, and another door will open, and another door will open. And the other thing about people that, you know, want to get out helping people, and you said, but, you know, what did you say, that they're hard on themselves? Was it not hard on themselves? What did you say, that in case it don't go well for them and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
There's a simple answer to that, and that is just think about who you're going to help, and that should start to take that away after practice. Because when we go there and we're worried about them things, again, we're going back into self. We're going back into self. It's all about, what if I don't look good? What if it ain't right? You know, what if it ain't right? And when we start to say to ourselves, because it don't just happen overnight, we have to practice it. When we start saying to ourselves, well, do you know what? I'm just going to go there and help the person, do the best I can. And then it takes away that fear. The more fear we can get out of the way, yeah, the more communication we can have. So it's a great way of practicing it. Now I'm going to help that person. So, you know, that's what I'm going to do. If it doesn't go out I want it to, then so be it. But you can bet your money that it's gonna have something for that person.
Mm.
It's what's needed for the person, not what's needed for you. I come away now, and I never analyse my readings. I never analyse my work. I used to come back from a demonstration. I'll be back at 10 o'clock at night. I'd still be up at 6 in the morning going over it. You
Wow.
know, why didn't this go well? Why didn't that go well? I should have said this. I should have said that. Going over each reading. Well, now I just go there, do my work. Yeah, I'm there to help someone. And, you know, sometimes a whole lot of information seems a lot better than the last one. But you know, it can't work like that, because it don't matter what you get and what you give. That person will need that at that time from the spirit world. So, you know, my advice would just be to keep practicing you go in there to help someone. You go in there to help someone. Because the more we start to get rid of that fear, the better our work becomes. The more we start to really, from the heart, go there and want to help someone, the clearer our work becomes.
Mm.
And with the carrot and that, they're symbols. You've got to work on them. Before you say them out loud, work on it.
Mm. And I believe also that spirit sends us the people that we can work with depending on our level at that time. So they've always been very patient with me and helping me figure things out. And even if I was not getting the story from it, I would say, why am I seeing a balloon one day? And why am I seeing this balloon? Can you tell me why your son is showing me the balloon? And the mom went on to tell me that there was a story that this child was an ecologist, basically. He was 11, but he would pick the balloons that he would find around and, you know, just throw them away because he wanted to save the earth. And I would have never thought that that's the story behind.
That's great. And that's great when that happens. And, you know, sometimes it is evidence like that, but also it can be a symbol, especially in early development. And
Right.
you can tell a whole story. It can lead you lead you. So, but you know what I say to my students, always look at it, feel into it. You know, is it telling you a story, or is it that they actually there is a memory there with balloons, and I hold a spiritual meter, you know, like a weight scales, and so I'll put like a few definitions in, like the dictionary. You know, one word gives you a few definitions. So if someone gives me a balloon, I'll put it up there. Is it that I've got is it a symbol and I've got to tap into it, what it means for me, and start talking, or is it a memory? And that needle will take you there. And it's quick now, so I do it without noticing it, and I know the answer straight away, and it to be right. You know, so use that. Where is it? Is it a symbol to work with, or is it actually a memory? You know. Okay.
That's a wonderful advice. Thank you for that. I have a couple of questions here. How do you quiet your mind when trying to meditate in order to stay focused? That's the first one from Marty. What could you tell her?
That's a really good question. And do you know what? Another mistake that people make is they try and silence their mind. You can't do that. You can't do that. So what I do is I'll sit down, you know, and all my thoughts will come in, my day-to-day stuff, my stresses, and where I've been 20 minutes ago, and who I'd spoken to yesterday on the phone, and you know, all that stuff just comes in, and I just sit and I just relax and breathe, and you just start to relax a little bit, and then I just ask the spirit world to sit with me if that's what you want to do. Or I just sit and I just get relaxed, and then my mind goes into that kind of daydream area where I'm not really in my thoughts, but they're just sort of like free, like a state of dream, but a conscious state of dream. And that's it. And I just sit. I don't try and control nothing or get big moments of silence. You know, I just allow my mind to flow. And it's the same with the candle technique. You know, I use the candle technique. Put a candle on the table, look at it. When your mind starts thinking, just refocus on the candle, on the flame. When your mind starts thinking, refocus. Because especially in mediumship and that, because your focus is going to be with your eyes open when you're working. You can't start closing your eyes for 15 minutes. So the candle technique is a game changer if you sit with it regular, you know. And then when you're in a, say if you're in an audience with, I don't know, 50, 100, 500 people, and you need to focus quickly, then that technique of the candle will just quickly come in, and you'll find something in that room, you just focus on it, bang. So you'll work, and I'll just focus. So I'll work with someone, then I'll focus. I'll work, focus with spirit work, focus. So the candle is a fantastic technique. Fantastic. I'll sit, not every day. I do sometimes, but last couple of weeks I haven't managed to. But other than that, I'll sit 20 minutes to half hour every day looking at that candle.
Awesome.
Dedication is the key.
Huh?
Dedication is a key to anything.
I feel like really like going back to it over and over, even when our mind tells us, oh, you're not doing it right. You know, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. You know, even there, just observing it without judgment, and going back to, in your case, what you were saying, focus on the candle, or that relaxation state. Very important, because our mind always wants to.
Yeah, do you know what? And we make it worse, because when we're trying to see it, we put more and more pressure on ourselves. We're looking for that silence, and you know, I know, because I can listen. I still have times now where I'll sit down 15 minutes and it just ain't happening. It just ain't happening. So I just get up and I leave it. I don't worry about it. Whereas before it used to, oh God, I can't do it. Now I just get up and I just accept it. That sometimes it's like that. You know, just acceptance again is a big key to going forward.
Right. Especially with things that we cannot force. I have another question here. I'm not always sensing when I move from one spirit communicator to another. How do you feel the difference between a second communicator coming in?
Yeah, this is a good question, and for me, this is something that uh, I still kind of experience from time to time. To be honest with you, for me, what it is, so if I'm doing a demonstration, um, I'm giving someone spirit communication. When that one's finished, it's like I'm not getting this thunderbolt of someone else coming in, and it's almost like a sense of panic. I'm not feeling like what's going on, but then I just sort of like focus again, like the candle technique. I'll focus, just calm down, don't leave a long break, and then I'll just start talking and building up, and then it'll be there. Sometimes it comes in strong, but you've got to understand as well that, like us here in this world, some people are more stronger. Not stronger as in you're weak, but you know, I might come into a room. Some people are gentle, other people are loud. So sometimes you will have a quiet person, and it is a bit worrying sometimes. You know, you do think, oh no, like where is it? But then once you just get through it and you gain that faith and that trust, it never lets you down. But I do understand that feeling. I do understand that feeling. And you come out of one reading and panic sets in, especially in the early days, because you're like, oh no, I've got to get another one. No one's there. No one's there. They are there, but it's just that you've absolutely pulled down that shutter of fear. Um, just relax. Keep up with the focus techniques. What I just said, and just take a breath, focus, and you know, just start using your emotion. What are they giving you emotionally rather than image? You know, if you're looking for an image and stuff in the head all the time, we lose totally what they're giving us emotionally, telling us about themselves, how they was. Work that way first. It's a great way to work.
Um, Today I had something like that similar, somebody else, I during a reading, somebody else was coming in, and I noticed, because I am the student of my own readings basically, and I noticed that when things starts to blend in a weird way and I get it's a different feeling. That's when I feel like, okay, somebody else is coming in, and it's something that usually happens because it's a family reunion when we have a reading. Then I tell the person, to keep the mind open because somebody else might be coming in. And also another thing that I notice is that we have this expectation that we should know, okay, now your father is coming in. Oh, now your brother is coming in, because we see mediums on YouTube or on TV doing that. And I actually wanted to address that for a second, because I watched all the possible mediums that are out there on TV or on YouTube. And at the beginning, I struggled with confidence, like, oh my goodness, I will never be like that. I'm trying to compare myself with them. And now I realize that what they're doing is to show me what's possible, really. Like, wow, that is possible. To have that type of connection is possible. But I struggle with embracing my journey and embracing my uniqueness. And I feel that I'm not the only one, because we all do ourselves in different ways. So what would you tell somebody that is going through that is not looking at them, and I want to be able to get that in that way, just like them? What would you tell people that are feeling that way?
This is again a great question and a great subject, because uniqueness is key. We go through our early development. We want to be like this medium, like that medium, and again, it comes down to lack of self-love, lack of self-belief in who we are, because we have our own characteristics. We are unique. God made us unique, you know. So what I did, I started to, after I got through that, I started to learn, what do I bring to the table? What are my characteristics? Um, and it's basically to be yourself, be you, because people will like you for who you are. When you said about bringing another father in and stuff like that, and it seems easier. Uh, that doesn't happen to them all the time. The bits that are put on TV are the best bits.
Right.
I've seen many of them TV be very, very mediocre. They're edited out, so you only get the best bits that are put on there. And it's about. So what I'm saying is, I'm not putting them down. What I'm saying is, they have them times as well. They have them times where things are seeming not going as good as other times for them. But I'll tell you what. If I do a demonstration and there's a lot of people there, it empowers me. I get such a buzz. My adrenaline goes through the roof. And once I've stopped, it's like I almost don't even know what I've said for the last hour. And it's like that. The mediumship is like that. You put one person in front of me, and it's totally different. Still going to be a good connection, yeah, but it's just not as powerful like that. Now, other people, they get more power sitting in front of one person and don't like the lots of people. So again, it's about your power and what suits you. But like I said, you will have them moments where that happens, and then you will have your moments where it don't happen. And you said about bringing in another member of the family. That's that can that can also be tricky at times. I would rather but the thing is, sometimes we look for it. We look for another family member. We want someone else to come through as well, and that can be a trip up for us. So just allow it to happen. If you feel it, great, say it. But coming away from the family members, I mean actually stopping one reading completely and then starting another one with another person. That's where that in-between moment of cut-off can be frightening for people in their early development. Especially if they're not sensing this big, this spirit person really strong waiting there to come in. So it's all about experience and learning how they connecting with us in subtler ways and stuff like that.
Right. It's trial and error.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's trial and error. And that's where your development comes in.
Right. That's why it's called development, right?
Yeah, people forget that in development. They think they have to get it right, or they want to get it right. But I'm like, no, this is where we learn. Like, this is where you learn. This is just trial and error. This is the place to do it.
Right. I remember when I was taking singing classes, I had this perfectionism in my mind that I needed to do the exercises, the vocal exercises, and be perfect, because I was feeling like it was a performance. And that's when the teacher was like, no, this is where you have to make the mistakes. The performance will come later.
Again, we put pressure on ourselves. Yeah.
So I have one more question here, and then we have space for one more question besides the one that Tara just put here. And then I have one that is around your upcoming classes, in case people would like to work with you, what you're offering there, your YouTube channel and everything. So here is, besides the candle technique, are there other things that you do during a demonstration if you feel that your power has dipped?
Okay, so basically they're saying if I'm demonstrating and my power starts to dip, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, we've spoke a little bit about sitting with the spirit world, haven't we? So this is how you come across this. I sit with the spirit world for sometimes an hour and a half. Yeah. And I know that when I go to demonstrate, I can be with them for at least an hour and a half, because that's what I practice every single day. So when I go to do a demonstration, I know that I'm doing an hour comfortably, an hour and a half comfortably. If you go to, say, an SNU church, you might only have to do 45 minutes. All right. Now, I would rather do an hour strong mediumship. And if there's 10 minutes left over, say to them, I'm sorry, but my energy's dropped and I'm not going to sit here and just make up stuff, because it wouldn't be honest of me to do that. All right. So always be honest. But basically, sit with the spirit world. Sit, build up that time you can sit with them. But I do understand that sometimes you can be working, go from one reading, and it can just all of a sudden feel like it's going a bit flat halfway through. Again, the candle technique is such a beneficial technique, because it learns you to refocus instead of getting into that panic. You know, that panic you're looking at, oh no, I ain't got nothing, it's going a bit low, and then just everything's going crashing down, and you're like, and everyone's looking at you. You keep doing that candle technique, and that'll get you through it. You sit with the spirit world for long periods at a time and start building that up, you will get through it. Because if you're spending time with the spirit world an hour every day, yeah, as soon as I get on that platform, I'm just spending my time there. That's it. Right, let's spend our time together. We know we've got an hour and a half, and then I'm going to get tired and the energy's going to drop, and they're going to get a little bit fed up with it and all, and they'll want to go. So, but I'll know that that's what we can do together, because we sit together for that time. So it's all about sitting with the spirit world. Sit. It's my advice. But it is difficult. I know what they're saying. It is difficult.
Here, Terry is also asking if you are meditating daily in addition to sitting in the power.
For me, it's the same thing. I'll sit down, yeah, get comfortable, relax myself. I don't spend the whole time wondering about the spirit world. I just say to them, you know, can you help me? I'm about to sit. I'm just going to sit quietly. Can you just help me with my development? Help me with my self-love? And then I just meditate. That's it. That's all I do. No expectations, nothing. That's all I do. So that is my meditation. But I'm just inviting them in through thought, and they can hear me through thought. And if you don't ask, you don't get, because it's free will. So if you're just going to sit there and not ask them to help you, then they're not going to.
Right. I like that, you know, just to ask, you know, asking you should receive, and they're knocking on the door, but they cannot forcefully open it for us. So I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about your upcoming courses and classes, and what's out there, what we can expect. No expectations, I know, but I know that there's something that we can expect.
I do workshops. I do mentorship courses. I've got another one starting in October, but that's full up. I have another one starting in January, which is nearly half full already. I do a lot of free demonstrations on Zoom. I like to do free demonstrations. I do them through my Facebook group. I put out the link, and yeah, I do one of them every 2 to 3 weeks.
What's your Facebook group? What's the name of the Facebook group for the people that are listening?
Because I always get the name wrong.
I post the link anyways in the description of this video, all the links to your pages and to your group.
Yeah, it's called International Psychic Medium and Spiritual Coach Michael Ivers. That's it. Also, my website is michaeliversmedium.com. So, if anyone wants to go on to my website or my Facebook page, there I do a lot of free demonstrations, which you're all invited to. It's all my work, my courses, readings, healing. I also have a meditation group every Sunday, which is absolutely free. Anyone can join. It's basically sitting with the spirit world.
At what time?
That is at 7 p.m. UK time.
So it's 1 p.m. No,
Yeah.
it's 2
2
p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah. And that is every Sunday. That is great for your development. We have some amazing experiences. I'm also starting in 2 weeks' time a technique group, which is free. It's going to be on a Monday evening, and it's the candle technique, where we'll sit together weekly, come together and do the technique with a candle for about 30 minutes. And that's free as well. It's just to get people, used to, and get them into that routine of doing it, because it's so beneficial. So I will be doing it, and we do it together. The meditation group is so good for people that are struggling or want development or grieving. I have people on there from all over the world. We've become a beautiful family of friends. It's totally free. Please, if anyone out there wants to join, they're more than welcome. It's fantastic. It's been running for about a year now, just over. It's great. And I have my book coming out in November, which will be on Amazon, US, Canada, Europe, stuff like that. Yeah. So
awesome. So we're going to wait for you to come to the States maybe next year.
When the travel situation eases up a bit, then yeah, I'm sure I will be coming to the States. Yeah.
Hopefully you'll be here, not when we are going over there, so that we can meet up here.
And you'll have a baby then, or a big baby.
Yeah. All right, no more questions coming in, and I think that we are done. I'm so grateful for you for having shared your story, all these amazing advices. And again, just because they are simple, don't underestimate them. Just try them out, everybody. I'm gonna try the candle out as well. And yeah, because we never know. And spirit is working behind the scenes. So
That's it. They are, and they're working hard. So why not put in the work as well?
right, exactly. I love that.
Here we are. I want to say thank you for inviting me on. If just in the hope that someone gets something from it, or inspiration, or just to say that it don't matter where we're at. There is always a pathway out, and we can all achieve anything that we want to. Nothing's impossible. So keep believing in yourself, everybody.
I love that. And what you were saying is true. Coming in to this work with your experience make you relatable, and
Yes.
and people need that.
Yeah, people want real people.
Right.
And that's what I try and promote now. Just be real, be yourself. Don't try and be no one else.
Right.
You're a great person. You don't need to be anyone else. Just people warm to truth and honesty, and vulnerability as well.
And sorry, repeat that again.
I said people warm to knowing that the vulnerable side to you, and that you've had some very vulnerable experiences. So
right. Yeah, authenticity. What comes to mind, and I feel like this is a good way to wrap it up, is Eileen Davis always used to say, or still does, I believe, that we are all mediums. We just have to remove what is preventing us from seeing who we truly are and what we are capable of.
That's it. Yeah, she's a lovely lady, Eileen. I haven't seen her for a long time, but she was one of the better ones.
So lovely. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And Many blessings to you for your path, and maybe we can do this again at some point.
And we'll keep in touch anyway. We'll keep in touch, Sylvia.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you very much, and have a lovely afternoon. And
You
take
too.
care of
You have a
yourself.
wonderful night. God bless. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye, Michael. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. This was incredible. Thank you for engaging, for your questions. I'm going to end the recording right now, and I'll see you soon.